Welcome back to our channels, Warriors. We are still growing 13,000 subscribers. If you haven't had your camarada smash that subscribe button, go ahead and have them smash it right now. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to the 60 patrons. If you haven't signed up for that Patreon, make sure you do so at the link below. This episode right here is gonna be, man. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to the little homie, Gervonta Tank Davis, for that win yesterday. Man, and that body shot. Wow. So fights, Hector. Fights in prison, right? Good old fisticuffs. Do you guys allow them? Do you guys know when they're going to happen? Is it like the movies, Hector, where I be seeing American History X. The inmates look over at the guards give them a little head nod, and then let them handle their business. It all depends, right? It all depends on situations and circumstances. As far as like a head nod, that's kind of Hollywood right there. I don't think anybody be giving like blatant okays, right? Like, hey, handle your business. But does it happen? Yeah, I already told you. Every situation dictates. And I think it has to do on where you're located at, where you're working, how much time you have in the department. For instance, when I was brand spanking new, you have that urge. And as I got more experience and promoted a sergeant and lieutenant, I would tell these youngsters like, hey, settle down. Like, don't be so eager to use force, right? To use a pepper spray. Because at one point, I kind of, hey, man, they give you this big size pepper spray. Like, I wonder what it does, right? I wonder how effective it is. Charlie Jim, right? Centinela, 2007, brand spanking new. A fight breaks out. Two Southern Hispanics, right? Two Sureños going at it. Just a fight, right? A fight. But brand spanking new. Excited, go over there and I spray. Plus, I think the propensity for violence, being that it was an open dorm, you had 98 other individuals in there. To me, anything can crack off or spark off, right? But one of my homies that does work up north in Sacramento, right? He remembers we were both officers. He was up in the gun and he's like, man, you were so excited. You were jumping around. I started laughing. He's like, hey, you should post your report from that one time. Because I still got that report, right? So, eager, put out the fire, right? Put out the fire with the pepper spray, they get down. Fights are definitely going to happen, right? I talk about a lot of stabbings. I talk about a lot of riots. There's fights, man. There's alcohol, inmate manufactured alcohol, Pruno, wine as they refer to. With liquid courage, disagreements, arguments. I mean, just because they're in there doesn't mean that they are any less of what you see out on the streets. You see people getting in bar fights. You see people getting in arguments, right? You see baby mama drama out on the streets. Like, hey, you talking to my girl? Hey, homie, she didn't tell me she was taken, Spencer. But stuff like that, right? Do we know about it? Do we allow it? I remember one particular time had some time in. This is when the bunk beds were on the day room, the E-beds, the emergency beds, right? California talks about overcrowding. My partner was definitely an OG, right? The ones that they don't make anymore. He was up in the control booth. He was doing overtime. I know that individual was on second watch. More than likely it was a good days off. This was first watch, right? So he's up in the control booth. I'm at the bottom. You needed an officer in that building because of the bunk beds, right? So the guy up on the top tells me, hey, they're going to handle something real quick. And I'm like, I'm not the regular. He's on overtime. He's an OG. I don't care. Like, I didn't care, right? I'm not there to police up. It's first watch, man. I'm trying to do my own thing. So yeah, they two drunk inmates were fighting in C-sections in the bunk bed, fighting. Kind of fighting, right? Kind of a good time, right? And I'm like, man, I was not like looking around the corner. I was not looking through the window. I just did not, none of that pertained to me, right? Two dudes needed a fight. They needed a fight, right? I don't know the reasons. I didn't ask them. I'm first watch, or at the time. They break it up, and then it kicks off again, right? Like those same two individuals. So like, man, now just common sense is playing through. Like, hey, that's enough, right? Somebody has to stop this shenanigans. Stand up. They had like one dude lookout. I don't know why they had him on the lookout if I wasn't gonna. We had already established what we were gonna like, right? Not established. Kind of under the understanding, right? So I go out and they're like, hey, that's enough. Like, okay. Like, I look at the dude and I'm like, the fuck, right? Oh, okay, that's enough. They broke it up, right? Didn't hear a peep from them that rest of that night. I don't know. Maybe they had aggression. Maybe they had an exchange of words. I don't know. They quelled whatever they quelled. No problems the rest of the night. No problems the next day. That was just that, right? There was another time that I worked minimum at Centinela, Echo Yard. Level 1 dorm. I was on third watch. I already told you guys I was a pescadito with no good days off for the duration of my career. 16 years. So coming in to third watch in a good prison with good partners, the outgoing watch, second watch, will relay information to the next shift. Like, hey, this is what you have going on. Hey, so-and-so's acting weird. So-and-so appears to be drunk. There's tension, right, between the races. Hey, just keep an eye out this. It's a pass down of information. That's a great practice. I believe we've gotten away from that, right? But that is what needs to be happening. Communication, right? Communication is key. So this was something along the lines of, I come in on third watch, and this was something along the lines that was told to me was, there was dorm setting, right? One officer in the building, and I forgot how many inmates in there. A lot of them, right, on bunk beds. Open bay setting. The officer I'm relieving tells me, yeah, you had this youngster, southerner, southsider. He got approached by the sergeant. He had like tobacco on him or something. Took off running. Made a scene, right? This is minimum. Started cussing out the sergeant. Just, this dude did too much, right? Just did too much on second watch. Straight disrespected the sergeant for no reason. Well, yeah, for no reason. The dude, I don't know, right? I wasn't there. So they're like, hey, just keep an eye out on that dude. Like, think they're going to check him. Right? I think his own people are going to check him. I'm like, all right, cool. Right? Like, at that point in time, even, you know what I mean? You're not going to slam the building. You're not going to put everybody down. Get out. Because you hear that, oh, I think they're going to check them, or just be, hey, there's a little heads up, right? It's more so informational purposes. So dinner time comes around, and two dudes approach me, right? Southerners. And they say my last name, and I was a CO. They're like, hey, we're going to need 3 lay-in trays. And I'm like, 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. Hey, sometimes these inmates don't be feeling well, right? They don't be feeling well. So sometimes they be requested lay-in trays, or they have some type of medical condition that the doctor prescribes them, so they're not able to walk to the chow hall, walk to dinner, and go get their meal. So what this individual was asking is like, hey, there's 3 of us that are not going to go to the dinner when you go to the dinner, right, and leave us unattended. And we still need to eat. So make sure we get those trays, right? I'm breaking it down for you guys. Cool. Hey, call up the culinary, like, hey, just shoot 3 trays over here, man. These fellas ain't feeling hungry today, or ain't feeling like they're gonna be walking today. Cool, right? Yeah, chow time proceeds. I get up, right? Because minimum is very low staff. As an officer building, you kind of have dual duties, where you kind of have a bunch of duties, right? Roles and responsibilities, but one of them is going inside of the chow hall and seating them, and or making sure they're not doing anything crazy, right? I go do my thing, I come back. Wow. Oh man, there's a dude sitting on his bunk, right, wearing a beanie. His beanie's all the way down to like just see his mouth, right? And I'm like, oh man, like I guess they ate, right? I guess they ate. Dude apologizes to me, right? I'm like, hey, you ain't gotta apologize to me, man. I don't know nothing. I just came a third watch. Like, you didn't do nothing to me, right? I don't know. I don't know what I don't know, man. So, is it a blatant in cahoots? Like, hey, people are gonna get God, give us. No, it's not. Law and order and democracy, whatever you want to call it, is like policing their own. Policing their own. Whatever you want to call it. I don't know, man. I don't have to deal with that anymore, right? At all, any one way, shape, or another. So the message for today is, right, number one is don't go around doing anything that's going to get you beat up. That's the message. That's one thing, right? Number two is don't put yourself in a position you can't get out of, right? And number three is, man, I'm hitting you guys with three on the Sunday, right? Easter Sunday. That's what's up, G. It's just going to be those two, right? Because, man, it is Sunday, right? Have a good one. Keep pushing forward.